The UK is ready to deploy its troops to fight Russian forces if Moscow invades a NATO member state on the alliance's eastern flank, stated UK Deputy Chief of Defence Staff Lieutenant General Rob Magowan, according to Politico. Speaking to the UK House of Commons Defence Committee, Magowan was asked how many British brigades could be sent to NATO's eastern flank in the event of significant escalation by Russia. In response, the Lieutenant General assured that if the UK were asked to fight tonight, it would be ready to do so. I don't think anybody in this room should be under any illusion that if the Russians invaded Eastern Europe tonight, then we would meet them in that fight, said Magowan. He clarified that the UK armed forces face a range of operational risks and operational strengths. Politico highlighted that the size of the British Army is at its smallest size since the 1700s. Last month, UK Defence Secretary John Healey stated that the condition of the armed forces was far worse than we thought following the Labour Party's victory in the election. Meanwhile, on November the 20th, it was reported that the UK government decided to decommission military ships, drones and helicopters. The British opposition criticised the move, arguing it could weaken national security. Poland also declared its readiness for war against Russia. The US missile defense base in Redzikawo, located in Poland's Pomeranian Voivodeship, was officially inaugurated on the 13th of November. This marks the first permanent facility of the US Army on Polish soil. Maria Zakharova, spokeswoman for the Russian Foreign Ministry, described the deployment of a US missile defense base in Poland as a provocation, claiming that it fits into a long-standing practice of placing NATO infrastructure closer to Russia's borders. Zakharova claimed that the deployment raises the overall level of the nuclear threat and that Russia considers the base a priority target and will be ready to strike it with its available means if necessary. In response, Paweł Wronski, spokesman for the Polish Foreign Ministry, emphasized that the base is purely defensive in nature. Its purpose is to intercept ballistic missiles, particularly from countries whose policies rely on constant threats and declarations of potential invasion. If Russia renews its threats, it means that in the future, the US and NATO will have to strengthen air defenses along the entire eastern flank to make such threats unrealistic to carry out, Wronski said.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky claimed on Thursday that an attack on Dnipro by Russia matches the speed and altitude of an intercontinental ballistic missile, which would be the first time Moscow has used such a weapon in the war. Russian officials have declined to comment when asked about media reports on the strike which happened earlier in the day. Zelensky and other Ukrainian statements have not provided any evidence that an ICBM, apparently armed with conventional warheads, was used. The attack comes in a week when tensions have repeatedly soared, as the US eased restrictions on Ukraine's use of American-made longer-range missiles inside Russia and the Kremlin lowered its threshold for launching nuclear weapons. The range of an ICBM, which can exceed 5,500 kilometers, is beyond what is needed to attack Ukraine. But such missiles are designed to carry atomic warheads, and the use of one, even with a conventional payload, would serve as a reminder of Russia's nuclear capability and a powerful message of potential escalation. At least 2 people were wounded in the attack, and an industrial facility and a rehabilitation center for people with disabilities were damaged, according to local officials.
Сьогодні ж наш божевільний сусід вкотре показав, який він насправді, як він зневажає і гідність, і свободу, і взагалі життя людей, і як він боїться. Боїться настільки, що застосовує вже нові ракети. І шукає по світу, де б ще знайти зброю. То в Ірані, то в Північній Кореї. Сьогодні була нова російська ракета. Всі характеристики – швидкість, висота міжконтинентальної балістичної. Зараз тривають експертизи. Очевидно, що Путін використовує Україну як полігон. Очевидно, що Путін боїться, коли поруч з ним просто є нормальне життя. Коли люди просто мають гідність. Коли країна просто хоче бути і має право бути незалежною. Путін робить все, що завгодно, тільки б не дати сусіду вирватись з його рук.
Ukraine on Thursday claimed Russia had launched an intercontinental ballistic missile targeting Dnipro, which, if confirmed, would be the first time Moscow has used such a missile in the war. In Britain, government officials did not immediately confirm what kind of missile Russia had fired. Defense Secretary John Healey said there were unconfirmed reports of Russia firing a new ballistic missile, which we know they have been preparing for months. He told Parliament's Defense Committee that the war was at a serious moment, with the front line less stable now than at any time since the start of Russia's invasion in 2022. ICBMs are designed to carry nuclear warheads, and the use of one would serve as a reminder of Russia's nuclear capability and a powerful message of potential escalation.
Order, I call this public evidence session of the
on Ukraine. This is a serious moment that I come before the committee. Defence intelligence will reveal today that the front line is now less stable than at any time since the early days of the full-scale Russian invasion in February 22. And we've seen in recent weeks a very clear escalation from Putin and his forces. They've stepped up attacks on the energy system in Ukraine ahead of winter. They've stepped up attacks on civilian centres, killing children. They've deployed at least 10,000 North Korean troops to the battle front line. And there are unconfirmed but media reports today of Russia firing a new ballistic missile into Ukraine, which we know have been preparing for months. So that while the Ukrainian actions on the battlefield speak for themselves, Mr. Chairman, be in no doubt that the UK government is stepping up our support for Ukraine, determined to continue doubling down our support for Ukraine.
The Deputy Chief of Staff for Military Capability.
Ukrainian armed forces have attacked the position where the military vehicles of the 15th Tank Regiment were located in Russia's Kursk region. As a result of the strike, all military trucks in the area, including UAZs and passenger cars, were destroyed by explosion. Images from the area were captured and shared by Russian servicemen. Saying that a total of 8 artillery strikes were fired at the position, the Russian servicemen said that they currently did not have vehicles to transport military equipment and asked for help.
8 числа этого месяца, 8 ноября, у нас было 2 захода бабки. В общей сложности было 8 прилетов у нас. В данный момент я хотел бы обратиться с такой просьбой, что нам очень необходим транспорт, так как от нашего транспорта по завершению видео вы сами все увидите, что произошло. После всего этого мы остались практически без колес. Мы относимся к 15-му танковому полку, 1-я минометная батарея 69-й дивизии. Находимся в Беловском районе. До этого уже обращались с просьбой о помощи, но все не так просто. Нам необходим транспорт для эвакуации, для подвоза БК, даже самое элементарное для доставки продуктов и медикаментов по позиции. По видео можно увидеть, что стало с нашим транспортом. Я красноречием не блещу, поэтому говорю как есть.